Hi, I'm Erica, host of Powered by Joy podcast, and I want to welcome you here. If you are somebody that is feeling stuck, frustrated, maybe a little lost and helpless to make change in your life, and you really just want to feel alive or some joy in your life again or more often, or remember it for the first or find it for the first time, you are in the right place because we want you to experience that without sacrificing your commitment to your family and your friends. And today we are going to talk about an episode that I'm calling Ride Your Own Ride. And I love to tie things to motorcycles and motorsports because that's who I am. So that's me riding my own ride. I'm going to talk about it because it's just somewhere that I've learned a lot about life. Lots of little metaphors that can play back and forth. So today we're talking about something that you might hear people say: live your own life, ride your own ride, race your own race. These are all sayings, that we hear, and maybe you feel like um, you don't know who or how or what you can do to live that way. Like you don't even know what that looks like. When you think, okay, like I don't know how to do my own unique version of me. It's not a surprise because, especially in the society we have been raised in this time, we are taught from young to keep up with the Joneses. So I have a funny story about that. Growing up, I did not know what that meant. And I literally thought it had something to do with the stock market and the Dow Jones. I don't know why I decided to share that, but that's what I thought it meant. And I was like, I don't know what that means. When I was a kid and I'd hear that and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what that means, but I think you're supposed to be like keeping up with, I don't know, the stock market. So anyways, you get the point. We're very much taught to keep up and appearances, and that's where status comes from and likes and connections. It's important to look a certain way and have certain things. And social media has definitely made it more prevalent. It is something that numbs our own voice and thoughts and unique desires because we're just constantly being fed. This is what you want. This is what you want. This is what everybody's doing. This is what makes everybody happy. Why aren't you doing this? You need to do this. Are you doing this? Look at me over here. Look at me. Look at me. But we don't necessarily know what's going on in their daily life. And we all know, no matter how great it looks, I don't care if you're a billionaire, you still take a crap. You still have problems. You still get a tummy ache on a bad day, on a flight somewhere. You still eat the wrong thing, go on a date and fart in front of your date. Like, I'm just saying, it doesn't matter who you are. Like, shit happens. Crazy things happen to everybody. Like, no human alive has a fantastic life all the time. We have people that are maybe living more aligned and in a place where they maybe experience more genuine joy and fulfillment. And that's different. Those people have just learned skills and tools that have helped them cope with the hard stuff and to try to make better and better choices. And then when crap happens, then they have tools to process it and deal with it and move on and not get stuck and feel like a victim. So those people doesn't matter what we see out there in the public or on social media, everybody has their issues and we all have things we have to work through. Nobody's life is perfect, but it's really hard to see that when all we're consuming is um, people's best memories and sharing awesome stuff that's happening in their lives. So I was going to share a video because I was trying to do a really cool yoga pose on my motorcycle. And I have my sister taking a picture and she took video and I totally got a cramp in my toe. I was going to show up, but it was the wrong angle. So it like wouldn't, I couldn't post it up because I was like, you know what? I look like a ding dong, but I am going to post this because this is real. Like, like things are not always perfect. And oh, look, but unfortunately, the video didn't have the right whatever, so it wouldn't let me do it. But I admitted right here, I was getting a toe cramp while I was trying to pull this off. It was pretty funny. Anyways, from outside appearances, it might look like, oh, look at it, she's doing this thing and she looks so zen. But like behind the scenes, we all have shit going on, right? So I want to encourage you to know that what we're seeing, remember, everybody's got their own, we all have our stuff that we're dealing with, right? But what I want to point out to you too is that this life is not infinite. And good news is we, due to technology, know what the average lifespan of people are. And I don't know if you've heard this, but it's actually been going down at a fairly fast rate, and it's supposedly tied to our diets and things. But I got caught up looking at stats all over the world, and it's very intriguing. You can see different food sources and different lifespans. But anyways, the world entirety, or no, I'm sorry, North America. I did North America because I couldn't find the whole, I couldn't find average for everybody, but it was 78.5 for women and 72 for men in North America. And it was a little higher in Canada than in the US. But my point is, if our average lifespan, let's just round it up to 80, then that's, that's not forever. It's not very long. If you look at the stats for women in the US alone, it's 79. Well, I just turned, yeah, I just turned 49 in November. I'm trying to remember. Anyways, so that means easy math. So that's why I'm referring to my age. I don't really care how old I am. But so average lifespan, 79. So if you take away 49 years, that's approximately, if I live the long length of an average lifespan here, I have 30 years left of my life. Now, if you multiply that times the number of months in a year, that's 360 months left. When I started doing this exercise, I think I had 400 and I had a lot more. I had 400 and something. And I was like, ooh, that's a low number. And then this is the first time I've done it. And then I'm like, okay, I'm in the 300s now. Oh, I'm deep in the 300s because the lifespan has also gone down. So I just lost 12 of them just there. So I'm going to have to eat more veggies. But anyways, the reason I went through all that information is to point out that like we have a limited number of years on this planet. We never know if we have tomorrow, next hour, next year, or if I'm going to have 30 years, or maybe I'm going to have 50. I just might live even to, 7 years, who knows? But how do we want to spend those years? And usually we grow up where we have dreams of who we're going to be. I always had very specific visions of different things I wanted to be. I had probably like 7 or 8 dreams of what I wanted to be, but I spent a lot of time imagining what I was going to be like when I was a grown up and what I was going to do and what I was going to experience. And it was a great escape. And I love to read, and that gave me lots of ideas too of what I wanted to be like and what I wanted to experience. And also just from seeing what was on TV and what looked glamorous in the 80s. So that probably tells you what some of my dreams looked like. But, others of us as children, like maybe there was some more survival going on. It maybe wasn't as great of environment. Maybe you spent a lot of time in your childhood thinking or dreaming about how you were going to do something different out of either being rebellious or like, I hate this experience I'm having, or I hate that we don't have enough money for food, or that I get one outfit and I outgrow them and look silly in school. Like we might have had those kinds of thoughts where we're like, I'm never going to do that. I'm going to grow up and I'm going to make enough money that I'm going to have all the clothes I want. I'm never going to go hungry. My kids are never going to go hungry. Hopefully we're all having had at least some sort of dreams of a different and better improvement of our life experience. I understand that there are probably some kids who can't even remember any of their childhood, or they were in such a circumstance that they didn't have that space to dream or even have those thoughts of that it could be different because they weren't seeing it being different for anybody else. And those circumstances were out of their control, sadly. So that is a whole additional journey when you aren't witnessing that and it's not being modeled to you that there are different ways to do things. And hopefully our society is going to continue to improve and model better opportunities and ways to do things as we move forward each generation, right? That's the idea. Hopefully, like springboard off each other, each generation. So if you're listening, I'm guessing that you are still trying to explore, discover, and remember like who you are, what you want to be, who you want to be. I still talk to people myself, like I'm still trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do when I grow up. Like I still feel like I'm 15 and I don't know what I'm going to do. And I think it's a super common conversation for us to, have still when maybe we just got into having a family and we just worked at the grocery store or the bank and like just started life. And all of a sudden you find yourself 49 and you're like, kids don't need me. Like I'm sick of my job. Like, is this who I am? I have 360 months left of this life. Is this it? Is this what I'm doing? And I think the tendency can be, especially with social media and all that we have access to, is to look at other people's lives around us and then start judging ourselves, feeling hopeless, depressed, frustrated, stuck. And then we turn to activities where we're numbing ourselves. And, maybe we're just watching, binge watching TV, or we're just doing scrolling through news, or we're drinking or we're eating, whatever the thing is. But in our current society, it's really hard to listen to our inner child, or what I like to, our intuition, our gut. I like to call it our knower, my knower. I like to listen to my knower. My knower's telling me stuff. And we are so distracted that we don't listen to that because we're busy and we're numbing. And so we don't know how to ride our own ride or live our own life. And so we look around and we're like, oh, well, Susie's supposed to, is doing this. I guess that's what I'm supposed to be wearing and doing. And I'm going to start yoga class and I'm going to start driving the same car, or whatever. And maybe you start doing those things and you hate it and it doesn't feel like you, and it makes you even more miserable. And you feel foolish because you suck at it or something. Or I'm just trying to think of another example, but like you start traveling because you see everybody else traveling, but you're going into debt doing it, and the debt is stressing you out. Or there's so many things we find ourselves doing and spending money and time and effort on to try to do things that we see other people doing. And there's two ways. There's, I'm sure, way more than two ways. But one thing I think of is when we're doing that, that's that keeping up with the Joneses, we're mimicking. So it doesn't feel authentic. And oftentimes we're not checking in and seeing how that feels, but we're like, I'm still unhappy. And there's this unrest, right? And we're going back to numbing because we're like, okay, I started joking. I'm still depressed. What's going on? Well, the other side would be, let's say you look and notice your neighbor is doing yoga and is super happy and looking great and has all this energy and they're glowing, and you did it and you feel like crap and you hurt your hamstring or something, and you're like, yeah, so it doesn't feel authentic to you. But what you could do, instead of just maybe saying, well, she's doing it, I need to do it, I need to wear the right outfit, maybe it's about what I'm wearing, whatever. Maybe it's that you even be bold enough to strike up a conversation and ask, why did you start doing yoga? Like, what do you feel like you're getting from it? Or maybe you do your own research and Google, like, what are the benefits of stretching and moving your body? Or, um, you know, what are the health benefits? But there's one thing to look at other people and envy them and try to just copy them and not necessarily listen to what you want. And there's another thing to look and go, okay, there's something about that person and what they're doing that I do desire or feel envious or jealous of. And that's a little side tip. If you are looking at other people's lives and it really evokes a strong emotion in you, like a lot of envy or jealousy or almost resentment, what I think that you don't have that, that would be like the times 100 signal. That is the beacon, like ding, ding, ding. Like there is something they're doing or experiencing or have that you desire. Your inner knower is trying to send off flags. So don't necessarily judge yourself for feeling that envy or jealousy. Go, oh, instead be curious, curiosity, and ask, what is it about what that person's doing or experiencing or has that I'm desiring? And usually if you actually slow down and pause and ask those questions, then you're learning something and you can go, oh, it's just that she's actually taking time for herself and doing something that's healing her body that I'm jealous or envious of or wish I had for myself. And that's your inner knower, your inner child, your intuition trying to talk to you and go, hey, here's a clue. This is something that's going to help you ride your own ride, live your own life, and help you feel a little bit more pleasure and joy in your life. So it's one thing to look at people and just copy and go, oh, well, that looks good. I'm going to do that. And then looking and watching and seeing, can you learn something? Is there something of value there? Is there a principle, a habit, a character trait that you can pick up on and not mimic, but develop within yourself? That's called inner work. It's not fun all the time, but it's called inner work, and you have to tap in and do that if you want to experience more joy and pleasure in your life. It's kind of part of the game. So if you're tuning in and thinking, oh, this is all just going to be fun and games, it actually involves work. Got to do the work too. So looking again, what is it about them or what's going on in their life? Like, what's that character trait or habit that I might benefit from having? So I'm going to give you, that is one tool, is like when you hear the envy bells or like, or, oh, I wish I had that, whatever the thing is, you detect that. That's a signal to pause and ask yourself. So a good way to know if something is for you and you might be desiring it is that you need to stop, think of the thing, the thing that they're doing. Maybe it's a new bicycle or a new motorcycle. And you want to just take a minute and get connected into your body. So a lot of us just are up here in our heads or breathing shallow in our chest. So what we're going to do is we're going to slow down. We're going to pause. There's a video on taking a pause, and you can watch that on another episode too, but you're going to pause. I would love it if you close your eyes, but if you're driving, try not to do that. But I want you to just pause, taking in a couple breaths, in and out. I want you to breathe into your belly. I want your belly to come out and expand and relax, and then let it just out without force. And just picture the thing you're desiring. So maybe it's yourself with 20 less pounds. Maybe it's another motorcycle. Maybe it's this person gets to sleep 8 hours because they don't have a new baby, whatever the thing is. Okay. And just think about that thing and take a couple more breaths into your belly. And I want you to notice what emotions come up, what if you're picturing that for yourself, not picturing it on your neighbor or whoever you're watching. I want you picturing yourself having this, you're touching, smelling, taste, experiencing this thing that you're wanting, and you're experiencing it. Like, try to call in all your senses of experiencing it while you're taking this couple of breaths in and out. And then just ask yourself, asking your knower, your higher self, is this new motorcycle what's best for me? Sorry, I'm laughing because I'm always going to want to say yes. Unless it's a dirt bike. I don't really love dirt bikes, but I have some people that I know that would want one. But anyway, so it's not the point. Okay, so you're taking that breath in. Maybe it's like, are those new yoga classes for me? And you might hear that inner voice go, yeah, I want to do that. Or it might be like, you're going to make a fool of yourself. What are you thinking? You're not going to go out there and do that. I want you to say, thank you for that. I'm asking my higher self, because our higher self never judges and never comes from a place of judgment or fear or criticism. Our higher self is always going to sound like love and not judgment. It's going to feel like love and curiosity and safety. So how does your body feel when you're picturing that and you're breathing in and out of your belly? This is actually can be very quick exercise, but you're breathing in and out. Like, yes, actually, that feels warm and fuzzy in my body. Or, oh, I feel so relaxed. Or maybe you feel tension and your chest feels tight. And all of a sudden you have a stomach ache or your shoulders are up, touching your ears or your jaws clenched. Paying attention, your body is going to be one of your best friends in teaching you what your knower and your higher self want. But we are not in the practice of pausing. So that is one of your most powerful tools you can learn and going, okay, how do I ride my own ride? How do I live my own life? More aligned for what's authentic to me. And maybe it's that you're pausing going, do I need to explore learning how to meditate? I'm guessing you're probably going to hear yes on that one because I don't know anyone who wouldn't benefit, but you're either going to hear that yes, or you might just feel your body relax, or you might feel excitement and happiness, or picturing yourself doing it makes you just like, oh, yeah, yeah. Those are your clues. These are our body is talking to us. Our knower is willing to talk to us. We have to be willing to listen. We have to be willing to ask. When's the last time you asked your body, like, hey, can you help me figure out if this is good for me? There's lots of other tools out there. There's muscle testing. So another way you can figure out if something feels aligned is like this. And so you want to establish your yes and your no. So you would ask yourself a question like, is my birthday in November? Well, the answer to that is yes. So like, I can't pull as hard as I try. I can't pull my fingers apart. Now, I would say something like, do I wear a size 20 tennis shoe? And I can pull my fingers apart without that much effort, even when I'm trying. So now I know my yes and my no. So now I'm going to be like, okay, should I enroll in that meditation class? I'm breathing. Maybe I feel kind of neutral. I don't really feel a reaction in my body. And you can use your fingers and ask. Oh, that was a yes. Okay. So interesting. Okay, I'm taking that note for myself later. But anyways, that's one way. Another way is to be standing and you ask that question and you figure out what your yes and no is. For me, like when my body leans forward, that's a yes. And when it leans back, it's a no. So there's different ways to do muscle testing, but those are two other ways you can try to learn to tune in to your own guidance of how do I figure out if this thing that I think I'm interested in learning or doing or trying is for me. So I feel like that's some good tangible tools you can use to walk away with figuring out how to know, is this something my heart actually desires for me and the life I want. So I'm just checking my notes to make sure I don't forget anything. So when I think about being on a motorcycle ride and you hear ride your own ride, the thing that is about is you do not want, that means you go the pace that you're riding on the road that is appropriate for your comfort and safety and for your skill level, not what anybody else you're right. If you're in a group, it could be one other person. You're not trying to ride their pace. You're not trying to keep up with them and do what they're doing. You're only willing to ride up to what your comfort and skill set are, right? And your knowledge. And when you don't do that, there are countless stories in my sphere of people I know where they tried to jump into a group of people riding and they got out there and they're going through some curves and they hit a curve in the road. They hit a hardship in life and they're going too fast. They're beyond their skill set. They don't have the coping skills and they don't have the skill set to maneuver themselves through that corner appropriately when a car comes around and they go off the other side, they crash, they don't know how to cope. It could maybe not end in a crash, but the fact is when you aren't riding your own ride and you haven't taken the time to get better at your skill set, work on your inner self and gain skills and taken the time to get to know what you want and desire and experiences you want to experience in this life, the connections you want to have with what loved ones, what family, what friends do you want to have experiences and memories with? Like if you're not doing that within your own skill set, not bringing in your own skill sets, like what I'm thinking of, what just came to mind here while I'm talking is like, if you have a family dynamic where you do desire to be close to your family and spend time with them and enjoy time with them, because they're your loved ones, and you're feeling like every time you hang out, there's some tension there. And maybe you initially feel like it's because this other person is exhibiting behavior that really just pisses you off and fires you up. Okay. That's the inner child we talked about in the last episode, but that is red flag again that someone's crossing a boundary. Okay. But you're like, but I still want to spend time with this person. So you're not going to change the other person. Newsflash. That's their life. You can only control your life, which means you can only control your reaction and how you handle and respond to the other person showing up as their genuine self, no matter how unhealthy or annoying they are. So that means you go get a skill set. You're like, I see this other family over here hanging out, having peace and joy and laughter. What am I missing? Like, how do I get to that place? So you go and you explore reading a book on family dynamics. You maybe start listening to podcasts that teach about how to get skills so that when you're in that situation, it doesn't trigger you the same, that you can stay in a more neutral place and not have a physical reaction to the stress of being around that person. And I have witnessed just recently someone in my life get all that work done so that when they had that contact with somebody, they were in such a different place. It gets me emotional that she could just show up and be present and have a completely different experience because she had done the work inside herself. She didn't change the other person. She knew she could show up for herself because she had healed so much pain and gained so many new tools and skill sets. So if she was just over here trying to look a certain way and act a certain way that she sees on social media and not actually gone behind the scenes and journaled and meditated and like looked at herself and gone, okay, what do I need to do differently here? How do I learn to breathe and control how my body feels? She went and got skills that she wasn't taught, because most of us come out of our childhood without all the skills that we could benefit from. There are some fortunate few out there that get them, but there are a lot of us who had amazing parents that they also didn't get all the tools. So it's like we show up to the game and we don't have all the equipment, safety gear, whatever. So wrapping that, I just went on a total tangent there. But I want you to know that if you are trying to ride your own ride safely, you have to gain your own skill sets. You have to grow yourself. You're the only one that can do that. You're responsible only for yourself. And that's when you're going to live a life that's more aligned, where you feel more authentic. You can show up to be more yourself because you're going to have more confidence because you've done that inner work and you've looked and gone, ooh, there's something about the person that I really admire or respect. It doesn't have to always be envy or jealousy. It might be, you're like, there's some good qualities there. And a person in my life that was Tony Robbins. Like, when I was in my 20s, I just remember being like, I would try to read his books and they were way too long, but like there was something there that I was like, I know he knows some tools I don't have. And so I was drawn there. So if you're drawn to people that way, that's good. That's different than just trying to act the role and look a certain way. Is not the same as actually showing up and being a different person and doing the work and learning skills, reading the books and journaling and maybe making some apologies and having some hard conversations and drawing some boundaries, all sorts of yummy stuff we'll talk about in the future. But I wanted to tell you that listening to your inner child or your knower is going to be one of your best tools to learn how to live your own life or ride your own ride, and to do it with a little bit more joy, adventure, and curiosity, and pleasure, and growth, right? So one of the things I wanted to say is don't get caught up in keeping up. Don't get caught up in keeping up. You want to get caught seeking joy and growth and pleasure and adventure. And you want to get caught just being your real raw self, trying to discover your best self and learning. And if you're being that genuine, you're not worrying about judging anybody else or trying to be like them. You're just riding your own ride. And there's more pleasure there. There's less judgment on yourself because you're not measuring up. And so all of a sudden that horrible plague of comparison starts to drop off and not be there and plague you the same. If you're over here going, okay, am I being the best version of myself today? Am I trying to work on getting more skills? And I might have screwed up today, but I still showed up to the fucking party. Okay, great. Then I'm still doing me. So you're still winning compared to most people if you can get to that space. And there is I think the episode on flow that I did, I go a little bit more into like trying to figure out what makes you feel more in flow. So we talk even more about like tuning into your body and figuring out what feels good and listening to your knower. So that might be helpful too. And you can also book a one-on-one with me and we can dive into what is that lights you up and makes you feel like you're living your own unique life. Heart mantra reading also aligns with that, talking about where your heart's at. So both of those might be some great tools if you feel like you need a little bit more in depth beyond listening to this episode. And I want to tie this up all the way with telling you that at the end of this life or the end of this race, you do not want to look back and have memories of yourself running around like a chicken with their head cut off, trying to, be like everybody else and keep up with the Joneses. You want to look back and you want to see that you lived a life that was uniquely yours and fulfilling. Yeah. Not you just pretending to be what you think everyone else wants you to be. You want it to be like, you look back and you're like, hell yeah, tide went on. I did my best because you are the only you. You're the only you. You do not want to be you acting like someone else because that's still not you. And it totally dishonors your soul and who you came here to be. Don't waste this time here trying to be like someone else. Honor your soul by showing up as you, your unique self. And I have homework. So I mentioned the whole months exercise. So I think you'll probably need a pad of paper or your phone, but you might need your phone as a calculator, but you'll probably need a calculator unless you're like good at fast math. So what we're going to do is we're going to just split the middle of the average life expectancy. And I want you to take a minute and I want you to do 76 minus your current age. Okay. So for example, 76 minus my age is 49 years. So that equals 27 years. And I'm going to now take 27 and I multiply that times 12, as in 12 months of the year. And that gives me 324. Now, if I did the women's version, I would have 30 years and more months left. But this version gives me 324 months left on average to live. And hopefully it's longer. But I want you to take the time to actually write that out and even put it on a sticky note, like one of my other coaches taught us to do. And he's the one that taught me this exercise. And I put it on a sticky note and I just put the number with the exclamation mark because when I saw it on a hot pink sticky note on my wall every day, it's like, and then when you adjust it down, come on. Oh, okay, 323, 322. All of a sudden, I feel like there's a little bit more intention of going, okay, like time is going by and you don't want to waste it. You don't want to get to the end and be like, I didn't fucking accomplish anything I dreamed of when I was that little girl. And I was like, I'm going to do it different. Don't be that. It's never too late to find some little thing to experience or accomplish or bring into your life. It's just not too late. So I want to now challenge you, as usual, to make time on your calendar this week to add in a moment that experience where you experience or try something new in hopes of discovering something that brings you joy and pleasure and maybe even adventure. It's not always going to be adventurous. I mean, it might be adventurous to start drawing and see what comes out when you just free draw sketch. I mean, it's an adventure when I see when I paint. An adventure, not judging myself is what that is. So what if you had way less days? What if you had way less months? What if you didn't have 324 But tomorrow you got news that you had 2 months or 2 days. Do not take for granted that you have until you're 76 or 79 or 90. Don't take it for granted, because you don't know how long you're going to be here or your loved one's going to be here. And you have opportunity in front of you as long as you're breathing. There's some opportunity. It might be that you look out and make your note of how beautiful the blue sky is and the birds, and that you have breath in your lungs. That might be your joy for the day. And it also might be getting to look into your child's eyes and snuggling them fresh off a nap and they're waking up happy, not crabby. But that moment, or maybe your loved one comes home from work. It might be that your dog comes in and wants to sit on your lap. Whatever it is, just like making all your moments count, being so present and intentional that when you get to the end of your ride, you're like, you can remember it, and you can remember moments of joy. You want to build beautiful memories, and that doesn't happen watching TV. Newsflash, you're not making a bunch of memories. So make sure you're doing those moments, creating those moments on purpose. So your bonus homework would be that you try to actually make it like a regular basis, and like really figuring out like what resonates with your soul. So like you're trying these things, but like as you do, like really pushing yourself, maybe even out of your comfort zone, to try something that really makes you uncomfortable, but you think might excite you. That would be bonus, is like pushing out of that comfort zone to do something new and joyful. So I encourage you to seek joy, be a joy seeker. And I love the thought that you are on this quest with me to live a life that's powered by joy. And of course, if you want to connect in further, you can go to my website and plug into the community with newsletter. We have a monthly quest calls. I also just launched out some one-on-one meeting, coaching calls, and also the heart mantra readings. So if you want to get in a little bit deeper, or if you follow just our Instagram, you can kind of see what's going on there and what's new and what we're offering, or how we're connecting, or what the episodes are about. So please, as usual, like, share, review, do all the things so that it can help me grow this community I'm really passionate about growing. So again, thank you for joining me, and I look forward to next time.